Hi guys, this is Fernando doing another video for the Modern Survivalist. In this case, we're going to be talking about what happens when you get shot. I think it's a very interesting topic to cover. Haven't seen good videos or articles about this. I tend to write an article about it for my website, my blog, themodernsurvivalist.com as well. Eventually, but right now I thought of the idea. I was pretty excited about it and I wanted to do a quick video so as to get some of the information out there. It's not going to be an extremely thorough video, but again, the point is what happens when you get shot. Why am I talking about this? Because in my firearms instructor course, I studied internal ballistics, external ballistics, terminal ballistics. My firearms instructor course wasn't something of a day or two or a week. Was about 4 months of classes, both practical and theoretical ones. We had to prove proficiency with firearms, with handguns, shotguns, rifles, long-range shooting, and the theory stuff as well was there. So we've got lots of information. We've learned from doctors, forensics. So that's what I'm talking about. I also know lots of people that have been shot. So combining the theoretical knowledge that I've gained and the practical information and what I've heard from friends of mine that had been shot. Luckily, I've never been shot myself, touching wood on that, because I mean, no one wants to go through that. But there's lots of people that have been shot, so talking with them gives you a good amount of information. Luckily, most of them are still alive, so that's good. It also says a lot about the survival rate of getting shot. Most likely, if you get shot, fortunately, your chances are that you will survive. But in spite of that, you never want to go through it. Still, let's talk about this. What happens when you put one of these guys into a bad guy, when you get shot yourself? This is going to be a quick introduction in case someone is watching this and has no idea of what the different calibers out there are available out there. So it's going to be pretty quick. The smallest one, the 22 long rifle, is one of the smallest calibers you can fire from a handgun or a rifle. It's also the most popular caliber in the entire planet, so that's why it gets used a lot. This is, though, not good for self-defense. Anyone that is telling you to use this for self-defense really has no idea of what he's talking about, in spite of the good intentions he or she may have. It is not a caliber for self-defense. It is extremely cheap. It's extremely popular, so that's why it gets used a lot and gets lots of people die from gunshot wounds with this caliber. But we are not going to be going with this as a choice, unless you don't have any other, of course. 9mm. This is one of the most popular handgun calibers used by military worldwide, by the police as well. It's not ideal, but it's pretty good. It's what many people consider the minimum, at least I consider the minimum caliber you should be firing from a handgun for self-defense. It's been extremely popular, it still is, but today among the American police, the 40 Smith & Wesson is even more popular. 40 Smith & Wesson used to be the 10mm that got shortened a bit because 10mm was too tough on both shooters and handguns as well. For some time it got a hard time. It was known as the short and weak instead, because the 10mm was and is indeed still one of the most powerful handgun calibers you can fire, but again, too tough on both shooters and weapons. 40 Smith & Wesson has become extremely popular for good reasons, because it's good. It's a good compromise between power, capacity, and ease of shooting. 45 ACP, both full metal jacket and jacket hollow point. Even the full metal jacket version is extremely good at stopping people within its limitations. Of course, when I say extremely good, it's in comparison to the rest, right? In general, handgun calibers aren't exactly the best option, but if you have to go with a handgun, a 45 ACP has proven itself time and again, both in the streets, World War II, and several occasions. It is good at its intended purpose. Even better if you can have a jacket hollow point. This one is the Spear Gold Dot, known as the flying ashtray for some time. 44 Magnum, very powerful, maybe a bit too powerful for a handgun, especially if you are intending it for defensive purposes, but it's a good hunting round nonetheless. 5.56 or 223. This is fired by the AR-15 or M16, used by the U.S. military. and it's the typical rifle caliber used these days by military worldwide. This is official NATO use, so this you will be finding in many places. 7.62 by 39. This is what the AK-47 fires, so this is something that the bad guys are using in many cases. Very good, in my opinion, better than the 223 or 5.56. And we have the 7.62 by 51 or 308, which is, you can see it's a bit bigger, but it's one of the most effective rifle rounds you can fire, and it's still plenty available, and it's still used by the military for designated shooters. It's fired by the FAL and the M1A1 as well, so it is a good rifle caliber. 12 gauge shotgun. This one is double O buckshot. This is actually made by the military factory, Fabricaciones Militares in Argentina, Fray Luis Beltrán, FLB, and as you see, the designation is Propósito General, which means general purpose. Folks, 12 gauge shotgun, it's pretty effective, and within that you do not want to get shot with, specifically with this black guy here, the general purpose round. It's intended for military use, for hunting, as the name describes. The general purpose, I thought it was funny at the time, but you know, it's a hot double O shotgun shell. So enough about that. The idea of this video is talking about what happens when this meets your body, right? The interaction between these calibers right here and the human body. So we're going to be drawing quickly human body over here, so as to have, you know, a point of reference. Not my best drawing, but still it's gonna serve its intended purpose. What happens when you get shot? What are the two most important things of the effectiveness or not when these calibers are being used? It's what you are using, which one of these you use, and they are not all the same. You cannot expect them all to be the same, given the obvious differences there are. And the second one is where. Okay, where you hit your target, or where you got hit yourself with one of these over here. Which one is the most important one? Where. Okay, where. Now, what is also very important, it's if you make the conscious choice of going with the smallest, weakest caliber you can carry, then you're not maybe making your best effort, and you're already limiting yourself a lot, as we're going to be talking later, and you'll understand what I mean by that. So even though where is more important than what you're shooting, what is also pretty relevant, because it does give you a margin of error with your accuracy. And even though some people think they're extremely good shots, it changes a lot when the target is moving. Okay, when the target is actually firing back at you, and you're also moving yourself. Okay, so you're both moving, you're both firing, and you have to deal with that. That's extremely different from you know, just standing in front of a piece of paper and punching holes through it. It's an entire different game. It's not even, it's apple and oranges entirely, because one thing is bullseye shooting, target shooting, and another one is fighting. For fighting, it's a different story. Okay, there's also a difference between, the main difference between these calibers that I just showed you is if it's handgun and if it's a rifle caliber. Okay, rifle ammunition is going to be having several different effects on the human body that aren't replicated by handgun calibers. Okay, so there's a huge difference between these two. Now, both of these can kill you. Even the little 22 can kill you as well. We're more concerned about how it's going to be stopping you. Okay, that's something that should be of interest to you. Not killing, but stopping your attacker, and the ability of your attacker of stopping you. Besides these two, what and where, There's also a third one, that's a psychological factor, which may be altered by drugs. You know, if the person is under the influence of drugs, of alcohol, he may not be responding to those wounds that you made the same way. There's also a factor of the will to fight. You may not be under the influence of any sort of drug, but your will to fight may be so big that in spite of getting shot, you will still keep in the fight. Now, in that case, you will be only brought down by an actual damage to a structure which you cannot live without, right? That's the only way they're going to be stopping you, if you have the will to fight. In many cases, according to what I've researched myself, in many cases people get shot no matter what, no matter where, and they just curl into fetal position because they're already defeated psychologically. They're afraid, they want to be brought to a hospital, they don't want to get shot again, so they give up, okay? If you still keep fighting, chances are you're going to be getting shot again, but chances are you're going to be doing much more than what you will achieve if you just curl into fetal position and just wait. In my experience as well, waiting for the clemence and the mercy of someone that just shot you is not a good idea. Maybe it's what nature and instinct makes some people do, but I think it's better if you stay in the fight. Of course, it's better if you actually have the tools for fighting and you have the know-how of how to fight. So you have to keep all of those into consideration. Let's go, point by point, what happens when you get shot. What most people tell me is that they don't even notice when they got shot. If they were in a fight and they got shot, most people don't even notice. Some of them tell me that they just see the blood afterwards. Some of them have told me that they felt a sting or a burn. The actual words in some cases were, like a cigarette burn, something that, or when you get a spent case that burns you, that goes down your shirt. They felt something like that, a burn in a specific part of the body, but it didn't stop them from continuing doing what they were doing. In other cases, when the shot reaches an area that causes more damage, people feel that like they lost wind. A gentleman I was talking with in Salt Lake City that had been shot with one of these from an AK-47, he told me that all of a sudden he fell, he tripped and he fell. He just fell. He didn't understand why he had fallen, but he thought at first that he had tripped. Now that's because the body isn't responding anymore, and your brain doesn't consciously register why is that, okay? But your body isn't able to keep you upright. He got shot in the upper torso. The thing is, as I said before, there's a difference between rifles and handguns. With a rifle, it's going to be more effective. It's going to be, when it goes beyond 2,000 feet per second, it's an entirely different game, right? A torso hit may be bringing you down or not, but there's a greater chance with a rifle. What happens, let's start with what happens when you get shot around here in the head. The head may be extremely different depending on where you get shot, okay? We have our guy right here. It's not the same if you get shot in the face, the jaw, the head itself. It's different if you get shot here or around here. One of the ways of almost there's no 100% assurance on anything. The only way in which you approach that the most is by hitting this area, the front of the head. Even the top of the head, hitting the top of the head may not be enough to bring someone down. There's more than enough cases where people have been shot in the top of the head and still survive. People that have been shot in the head with 22s, folks, 22s, for those that recommend 22s, in many cases it circumnavigates around the skull between the bone and the scalp, the skin of the head, right? Because it lacks the power to penetrate in some cases. In some cases, when it's powerful enough, when it's close enough, and when the angle is enough, and when this person's skull is thin enough, it goes through, right? And in that case, you have a 22 through your brain. You may survive that as well. You may be in a fight as well with a 22 through your brain, with a 9mm through your brain as well. especially if it hits the top of your head. Okay, it depends on the caliber, on the luck as well. Some people have been shot with 9mm and survive in the head. It's just a given. I know of a little kid that got shot with, I think it was an AK-47 in the head. The kid lost like half a football size of the head. Okay, the round just tore through this portion, creating a hole in this area, and the kid was still alive. He was, I think it was in National Geographic or Discovery Channel. They were talking about doing reconstructive surgery and placing a metal cap over here so as to finish the shape of the head. The kid was perfectly fine. He only had an aesthetic problem of having half his head missing on the top sector. Guys, do you get what I'm talking about? Do you get, I mean, that there's nothing, no assurance of a shot anywhere achieving 100% results. A person that got shot during the Dirty War in Argentina, he was actually executed, shot in the face with a Mauser 765 Argentine caliber. It's very much similar to this one, to the 762. It's a rifle caliber through the face. He got shot in the face. They blew his teeth off with that round. It went through the back of the neck, but didn't hit the spine or the brain, at least not enough so as to kill him. He fell to the ground because of the impact, of course, but he didn't even lose consciousness. He just remained still, and the executors thought they had killed him. He just waited, and he actually walked back home and managed to exile to the USA, and he's still alive, living in USA today after being shot in the face with a rifle. Again, no 100% assurance, but the caliber does matter. Some people that have survived being shot in the head with a 22 may not have survived if it had been a 9mm or if it had been a 44 Magnum or a rifle. Alright? So these are all things to keep in mind. What about the neck area? The neck, we have blood vessels going up and down, we have the windpipe, and you have the spine. So it is a pretty delicate area to hit. A neck wound, you have to be very lucky. You hopefully got shot with something that isn't too big. And I mean, if you got shot with a 22 and the luck was on your side and it didn't touch anything that would bleed you out right there, or didn't touch your spine, then you may survive. If not, you know, again, matter of pure luck. Some people say, okay, I'm so good shooting that I only carry a 22 because I'm gonna be placing my shots here in the eyes. Okay, people that say such things don't know again what they're talking about. It's impossible to hit someone in the eye when he's moving and when he's fighting and when he's probably shooting at you as well. Okay, folks, this is taking really long, and I see how this is going to be taking another 20 minutes. So if you like what you've seen so far, I'm going to be making a part 2 of this, going through the rest of the human anatomy and the correlation with wounds going through that, and what I've heard about people saying. Okay guys, that's gonna be it for now, and see you on part 2 of this video.